What up, dude? It's your boy Willie Styles in the building. Welcome to tonight's show. Sonny, you want to say what up?
Hey guys.
All right. So tonight we got a great show lined up as usual. Tonight we're going to be doing a relationship topic. Looks like we got Dame in as well. What up, Dame?
Hola.
All
Hey,
right. Dame almost made it on time. We're going to have to dock your pay for those first 30 seconds.
What?
Wow.
So tonight we got a great show lined up as usual. In the meantime, make sure you guys get over to our website. You know, we got all our links there where you can get to our socials, get to our join the conversation group, as well as go check out our merchandise shop over at gftradio.creator-spring.com, where you can get all kinds of accessories, merchandise, shirts, apparel, things like that, with our logo, sayings, and things of that nature on it. What up, Dokila? Thanks for joining us. Ain't seen you in a minute. Hope all is well. Show's going to be a great one tonight. Like I said, it's going to be a great relationship topic. We're going to be talking about 21 questions to ask yourself before you start a relationship. So we're going to be going over some questions. I got this from an Instagram post, and it goes over some questions that you should ask. We're going to talk about those questions, answer some maybe, as well as discuss why these questions either are important or why somebody may find them not useful, because, not everything fits everybody. But I thought this was a pretty good post when I first saw it. You can catch the post over at Instagram. I'll put the link down there. I'll put it in the chat as well, so that way you guys can click on it. It's got, like I said, 21 questions. I just got 22 questions. It's got a bonus question as well. So it's got 22 questions that, definitely are things that you should think about before you get into, actually, a couple of the questions are before you should even get into dating, let alone a relationship. And then some are great for asking yourself, or maybe even asking your partner, before you commit to a one-on-one or exclusive relationship. So definitely are things to think about, things to ponder, and we're going to go over those tonight. Hopefully help someone figure out if this is the right relationship for you. What up, though, Chris? Chris is in the building. Appreciate you for joining as usual. Looks like Sonny had to step away for a second. But yeah, so again, like I said, you can find those questions over on Instagram. If you don't have an Instagram, I believe it's a public Instagram page, so you should be able to still get to it regardless. And like I said, I'll try to get this link posted in the chat, which I think I have it here. Don't want to post the wrong Instagram link, and then you guys be like, what is this? All right, boom. Got it in the chat. So make sure you guys go over there. And we're not right now. We're going to talk about the questions now, so don't go over there yet. But we're going to talk about the questions. But I made it clickable in the comments. I'll try to post it again later if I remember. Dame, it's your job now to remind me later to repost this link so that folks can get to the link. Because I'm sure we're going to have some comments from the audience. We got our crew in the building. Keela, Chris, I see some other folks are watching. So make sure you guys comment. Feel free to comment. We want to hear from you. Want to get your thoughts on these questions, as well as, hey, if you got some questions you think are on the list, or that you think are important to ask yourself before you get into a relationship, definitely drop them in the comments. I'll show them on the screen. We'll talk about it. Go from there. All right. So relationships, definitely are things that people are always trying to get into, always trying to, figure out. But sometimes we're just not ready, right? Sometimes we're either just not ready, or we're coming from a relationship that didn't go the way we wanted. And a lot of people don't take the time out to figure out what's the best route to get to the next relationship, or to at least navigate the dating pool. A lot of people, I think Sonny, this is one of Sonny's favorite things to say, is that, the dating pool is full of piss, right? So, and sometimes we're the piss. So we got to make sure that we're not the piss, take ourselves out of that equation and be the best person we can be for the next person. So these questions, like I said, you can find them over on Instagram. We'll go through and give you some keys to make sure that you're ready for your next relationship. Like I said, we're going to go over these, talk about why they're important or why they're not, why they fit, why they don't fit, things like that. And then go from there. First question. So I thought this was a good one because it's definitely one we've talked about plenty of times. Am I emotionally available for a relationship? So this is definitely a good one before you even jump into a relationship or dating in general, because I think a lot of people don't take the time out to either heal or, come to terms and grips of what they've dealt with in the past, or, even if they see mistakes that they've made or maybe the patterns that they've fallen into and try to figure out how to get out of bad patterns and bad relationships. Sonny, what do you think about this question?
I think that's where I'm at right now. That's like the big question for me. Like, although I've tried dating, I don't think I'm emotionally ready or available. Because when you go through a lot of stuff, you like, I want to date, I want to see what's out there, but at the same time, like, can I emotionally handle dating? Because dating is a lot. You kind of like, if you're, like I said, we talked about this many times on the podcast that I date completely wrong. So I get if I'm only dating one person at a time, I get emotionally invested. So for me, it's like getting to know you of that process and then being how I am. That's a biggie for me. So it's like, do I want to allow myself to emotionally open up to someone else for someone just to waste my time? So I'm more guided with my emotions, but I'm not emotionally available for that person because I'm just like standoffish and not really, if I'm being quite honest, not really giving most people a chance. Because it's like I've been through some shit. So for me, I know that's like this being the first question is funny to me because I live that. Like I want to date, but I don't. It's a lot for dating for me.
Right. Now, you made a great point when you said not only being emotionally available, but being emotionally ready. Because, like you said, when you go through things, it makes you feel not only, like you said, guarded, but sometimes, like you say, like you just don't have the energy for that, to deal with that or to go through what may be a possible waste of time. Dang,
yeah, like I try, but then I realize, like, depending on the person, and I think it kind of depends on the people that I date or the type. Like, if I feel like I'm dating the same person I've been dating for a period of time, it's like, yeah, I'm not. So I don't want to necessarily put it on the person, but sometimes it's the person, the type of person that I'm allowing myself to date, if you will. Like, because I know,
So there's that pattern.
Yeah, because it's like you see it and you're like, oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, and when you work hard to try to be in a certain mindset and like, not necessarily that it's a bad mindset, but like just be open-minded, it's hard. So
yeah. Dame, what's your thoughts on this question?
Now I'm hot. I was cold 5 seconds ago.
Being emotionally available or for a relationship, that's kind of a tricky one because being emotionally available, you're always changing anyway with time and experiences in just real life, not just relationship life, because we're always evolving just like taste buds. It's always changing. One day I didn't like certain foods and next thing you know, I got older. I do like banana peppers on my pizza, not pineapples, banana peppers. It's just a different taste because once it's like you don't know until you don't know, or no, you don't know until you know, like what you like and don't like in relationships. Like you didn't know you didn't like somebody who had some type of quirks until you was in a relationship with that person with that quirk. You're like, I can't deal with this. It's driving me nuts. I didn't know until you're in that situation, you don't know. So along with emotionally being available, your emotions changing, that person's emotions changing. So it's going to be like conflict of
But what do you think about it from the standpoint of like just being emotionally able to connect with that next person, like Sonny was mentioning, like being guarded, because and Chris just mentioned it too in one of his comments. He says a lot of people, he says generally women carry their old baggage with them to a new relationship
Men do it
unknowingly.
too. It's
Yeah,
not generally women. Men do it a lot,
yeah,
and they just don't want to admit it because y'all.
no,
Keisha hurt you from 6 years ago. All bitches are the same.
yeah,
Like it's Chris. If we're gonna have this conversation, you're gonna join it. I need you to be real grown and real honest. It ain't just women. It's men, but
no,
it's more of something, and it's not just saying it's a man woman. It's just a people thing. We all are
well,
guarded. We all been hurt. We
well,
all connect
generally
back.
to agree with Sonny too, because a lot of men don't know how to identify. They don't know how to cope with emotions because a lot of men weren't raised that way with emotions and how to
Mhm.
cope and identify what's wrong with them. Like sometimes, like for me myself, sometimes I will shut down just so I can articulate or try to figure out what's wrong with me emotionally because sometimes it's just kind of hard to you know emotionally just recognize
Yeah,
what's
do
going
that.
on.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
but
Well, and that's my thing is that I think that from if we're gonna talk men versus women, I agree with Sonny in terms of I feel like a lot of men don't realize how much emotion they put into relationships because to your point, Dame, they don't recognize the emotion behind it. They don't recognize why they're hurt or why that they're carrying this from one relationship to the next or why they're seeing things, they're generalizing certain things between the women that they're dating because their perception and their foresight on it is like already skewed by the experience that they went through in the past. They feel like, oh, she's gonna do this to me because the last one did this, or she's going to expect this from me because the last one expected this from me. And I think that the emotions of it is being able to take that last relationship out of the picture and saying, okay, I'm going to be able to open up to this person. And it doesn't have to be date 1, 2, or 3. It can be um, after you recognize that there's a connection being built, that you start opening up and being able to say, you know what, I can accept this person for who they are and what they mean to me versus what they are, or what or how they compare to a past relationship.
but sometimes also subliminally they do stuff from the past relationship or 3 relationships ago and carry it over to this one. Like you might not have that quirk or that problem with, say, from A, it'll skip over B, and all of a sudden there's a problem at C. You wouldn't even sometimes you won't even realize it, or like, man, why am I treating her like this way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
You're muted,
Uh,
Sonny.
Yeah, so Chris also mentioned that he also felt that men too, without wanting to accept the damage that they occur. I'm assuming he meant men to carry baggage from one relationship to the next, without wanting to accept or without wanting to probably realize that the damage has occurred in their life. So definitely, he recognizes that men go through it as well.
yeah.
The next question is, am I aware of my triggers and how they show up in my relationships? That's a big one. That's a big one. Sonny, what's your so I see you shaking your head
Um,
already. What's your thoughts on
because
that?
I'm definitely aware, and it's so funny because like this topic is so funny to me because I just had this conversation with someone. Recognizing your triggers and catching your responses, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then seeing stuff. I just said a couple weeks back to my therapist, I was out there trying to date and a lot of stuff was going awry. And I said to her, I realized I started going back to the original, like how like my responses on certain things. And for me, it put me in an unhealthy headspace, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I'm meeting new people and certain stuff that they're doing is like it sends a signal to my mind like, nope, we're not doing that again. And or my behavior will be a certain way because of something they did to trigger it. And I have to
Mm-hmm.
catch myself because you don't want to go, like I said, it's I recognize like what Cat Williams said, if you keep me Asian niggas, it ain't it's something about you that's not it's attracting them. And it's like,
Right.
I had to internally look at myself and be like, what am I doing? Because it's almost dating, like I said, and I'm gonna repeat myself again, it's almost dating the same person in different packages. It's just unwrapping them very differently and seeing certain things in different stages. So whereas it took 3 stages to see this out of this one guy, I seen it in stage 1.
Right.
And so it's those things where you have to kind of like you have to recognize it and then understand what it means for you.
Right.
And then not only understand what it means for you, decide if that's something you're projecting, or that's really because we project sometimes. Is it something that we're projecting, or is it something that's really a red flag, and that you need to either like exit because we like people, we ignore the yellow flag that's turning into red. We act like we don't see it because something about this person we like and we're skipping past this. So sometimes we got to check ourselves, and like that I am aware, so that kind of makes me even more guarded.
Okay. Dane, what's your thoughts?
What's the question again about triggers?
Am I aware? Am I aware of my triggers and how they show up in my relationships?
Yeah. Yes and no. Like you don't, like I said before, like you don't know what you don't know. Like maybe it's like one trigger from a past relationship you're carrying on from the next one, but you don't know that you had that baggage. Like I didn't know something personal that happened to me in my past relationship that was carrying on to my previous marriage until like years later something popped up. I'm like, ooh, but I was aware of it afterwards.
Okay.
Like until you're in that situation, and like until you have to articulate like what's going on with you, you don't know.
Yeah, so I kind of felt the same way about this question, because I can see it from the point of, if when you do recognize certain triggers, that you should acknowledge them, either figure out how to work through them or figure out how to avoid them. There's certain things that that trigger you about how people either act, how they operate, things that they say, or the way that they may treat you, that can be triggers. Those kind of things you definitely want to be able to recognize as your triggers, as well as, like Sonny was saying, is this going to be a yellow flag for you, a red flag for you, something that you can get over, something that you can work through, or is this something that you're just going to be your stopgap, or you're going to be like, no, this isn't going to work for me, this relationship is not going to flourish. But then, to your point, Dame, I definitely felt that there's going to be certain things that may come up because that may come up and you realize it basically after the fact, because you're like, dang, like, this was something that I went through in this other relationship, but I didn't see it as a trigger, or it's even a brand new trigger, because let's face it, triggers are things that are part of a repeated cycle. So you get your first relationship or your second relationship, and that person yelling at you makes you nervous, uncomfortable in a situation. You go to another relationship, and you're like, not thinking about the fact that that person's yelling was what made you nervous and uncomfortable, and then this new person out of the blue, 6 months, 12 months into the relationship, is like cussing you out, and you're like, oh shoot, like I don't like this. But did you know that you didn't like this before? Kind of, but you didn't realize it because it was not something that you were like, like you were saying, Dame, something that you either encountered with this person, or you didn't encounter enough for you to realize, oh, this was something that didn't make me comfortable in a relationship 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And now, it's a trigger, but it's only because now this new person has triggered it, for the first time. So I think
I find I find that most for me, when you it's not, I find that with me is like when they're dismissive of your feelings, right? And that's just not that's relationships all around, like family, friends, otherwise. It's a trigger for me, because if you say to me, Willie, hey, Sonny, this bothers me, bop, 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 and I'm dismissive of your feelings and saying, well, you shouldn't feel that way. No. Okay, well, I'm sorry you felt this way, but, you know, like acknowledging it and not being dismissive. I think for me, that's a big trigger, because I've had it happen in the beginning and, you know, didn't think nothing of it. Like, oh, well, maybe he just don't understand. And like my mindset is he doesn't understand, but sometimes they do understand. They really don't give a damn.
Right.
And some people, you may not see it, because I'm a big person of, I don't like to argue with the person I'm dealing with. I try to be very, they're more likely to yell at me and tell me what they feel like I'm doing wrong versus me saying what you're doing wrong. But now I'm very vocal at the beginning of this bothered me. So I'm gonna give you one shot. And if you keep doing it, like if you do it again, I'm good. Cause I'm not gonna I'm gonna give you the opportunity, because you can't tell somebody that don't know. Like, okay, so this bothers me, and it makes me feel this way when you do this. And then you do it again, I'm good, because I've been down the road where 6 months in, it's happening. It's become a custom because I allowed it at the beginning, and I knew it was a trigger, and I just said, well, I was justifying it in my head to say you really must don't understand, or I'm trying to get you to understand. You're never going to understand, because you understand, you just don't care, and you're being dismissive because you know.
Yeah, Chris kind of had a similar comment here. He says, my trigger is when my mate doesn't allow me to finish what I'm saying and think that they know what I'm going to say without listening and having a lack of understanding. And that's another dismissive trait, right? You know, because a lot of times you can be in conversations with somebody, and like you said, Chris, is that they're either anticipating or, you know, trying to give you the answers that you're giving, you know, and you're like, no, that's not what I meant, or that's not what I'm trying to say. And they're like, oh no, this is what you mean. You know what I mean? Or they're like, oh, you know, nah, you don't know what you're talking about, you know. And that's one of the things that, you know, I definitely value is understanding. You know, a person that can talk to me, you know, understand where I'm coming from. They don't have to agree. You know, they don't have to feel the same way I feel, but if they can understand why I'm feeling this way, or give me the benefit of the doubt in certain situations, or even if they just are like, you know what, you know, Will, what you're talking about is craziness, you know, but that's you know, that I appreciate. That I can definitely feel more comfortable with than a person that's like, you know, forget what you're saying, you know, you dumb, or, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. And they're just running off with it, like, you know, like it's nothing. But it, you know, that hurts me, because I'm like, hey, you know, you're not listening to me, or you're not understanding where I'm coming from, you know. But definitely, if they're able to, like, you know what, you know, I see what you're saying, you know, I don't agree with it, but I get why you're like this, or I get what you know, what brought you to this point, you know, or I see things that you do in life that makes you have this kind of viewpoint. That, believe me, that means everything to me. That tells me that person is listening to me. They're taking it in. They're, you know, they even if they don't understand, they're empathetic, you know, and they get it, right, you know. So they've definitely taken in and understood what I was saying, even if they, you know, like I said, don't feel the same way, or has a different opinion, and maybe even want to convince me of a different opinion, but they're still like, I get why you're like this. You know, I don't want you to be like this, but it's what you know, it's what you feel, and this is how you got here. So it is what it is. And it's like, okay, because we have to, you know, at some point, for adults, we have to agree to disagree at some point, right? You know, if we are trying to, like, let's say, it doesn't even have to be a real debate, but even if it's a, you know, a light debate, and it's like going back and forth, at some point you got to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Keela says that she has many triggers, and they definitely show in a relationship, and she's quick to walk away. And that's a big thing. You know, if you know you have a lot of triggers, or if you know what your triggers are, definitely, you know, try to understand them, try to see what, you know, what's your walk away point, what's your thing of, you know, I can't deal with this. And I think you said something earlier, Sonny, is that sometimes with certain people, especially if you're building a relationship with them or building a connection with them, and you feel like, you know what, there's a lot of good in this, then, you know, some of your yellow flags or your minor triggers, you might be like, you know what, I'm gonna let them know, hey, you know what, this is something that I don't like, or something that doesn't feel good to me, or something that, you know, either they're doing or you might anticipate them doing. You're like, hey, you know, this is something that, you know, I can't, deal with, and then they can, like you said, have an opportunity to understand that, and then be able to hopefully avoid that with you and give you the spaces you need to be able to be comfortable in that relationship. So question 3, or actually this is question 4 from the list. Oh, I'm sorry, Jamie. I saw your comment and then forgot to show it on the screen. What up, though? Appreciate you joining as usual. Got all our familiars and regulars. And speaking of familiar, the next question. So this one, I wasn't really like I felt the question in a way, but then so what I did is I rewrote the last part. So the question in the Instagram post is, am I familiar or comfortable with this person? In that post, they said there's a difference. But then I was kind of struggling with, is there a difference between familiarity and comfortability?
Yeah.
That should be asked in this kind of situation. Like, you're about to start a relationship, or you're like, hey, I think we should be, exclusive. We're going to be in a relationship. And is there a difference between those two things? Go ahead, Sonny.
I think for me, it's a different. It's a difference only in the mindset of the familiarity. I'm familiar with you, but I don't really know you, right? So I'm getting to know you. I'm familiar with you guys, but I don't know you, like meat and potatoes situation. So familiar for me, yeah. Comfortable is very different, because it's very rare that I'm comfortable with a person just getting to know them or dating them, and that's even after several dates. The comfortability level depends on the vibe of the person. It's not me being familiar. It's a little bit more. So for me, there is a difference. But why would we? I mean, if you're not familiar, not necessarily familiar, because you don't have to really know them. Because when you date, you just date people. Like, you don't. Right. You might not know them from a can of paint. You met them on a dating site, or however you met them at a club that night, right. And whatever, or at some type of outing. So you're familiar with them, but you don't really know them. So for me, comfort is more of a question, because if you're going to be comfortable, you should be comfortable with the person that you're dating, especially if it's exclusive dating. That to me, so for me, the question should be, am I comfortable with this person? Because if I'm going to continuously date you or get to the point where we're exclusively dating, I need to be comfortable with you, because now it's a little bit more.
Yeah,
I'm liable to be doing a lot of other things with you, more like probably if we're exclusively dating, you get to meet the kids, you get to you may get invited to family functions. Right. I don't know. People are crazy. But those types of things. That's where I said it's a comfortability level of, am I comfortable with you to have you around my family and kids, and know that I'm going to be protected, and not necessarily in the way that you're going to cause harm to me, but protected in the way that you're going to care for me in the way in which I want to be cared for, and not be out here being weird. Because sometimes people just get weird.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, Dane.
Yeah, because you can be comfortable with somebody, especially when it comes to telling personal thoughts and ideas and feelings. Familiar, you're not going to tell those deep thoughts, ideas, and opinions. You can be like cool with them, like, yeah, I can be around this person as familiar, but you're not going to be drop your guard totally. Be like, I feel this way about such said situation, or this person, or this happened to me in my life, where I haven't told anybody.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the reason why I love doing this show, because when I read the question, I think I just read it wrong, and I read it in the wrong tone, in terms of what they were trying to convey, especially the way you guys just, what Sonny was saying about the being familiar with us, and still not knowing us, like I've known Sonny for over a decade, well over a decade.
A decade.
Yeah, and we know a lot about each other because of
probably too. I'm 40 now, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, I say yeah. She was like in her 20s when we first started collaborating and everything. So the big thing is, when I read it, I wasn't reading. I guess I wasn't reading it as familiar or comfortable in a relationship versus dating scenario, and that was another thing you said, Sonny, that made it made sense, because I wasn't thinking from that standpoint. So that helps. So yeah, I definitely agree. Then there's a big difference there, and especially like you were saying, Dame, in terms of being familiar with somebody and not being able to open up with that person, because there's a lot of people I'm familiar with, and I won't open up anything for them because I'm just only familiar with them. Like I know they exist. I know, I know about their life. I know, or know about that whatever it is. Like, oh, I know they got kids and they work for the plant, blah, blah, blah. But, that's it. I'm not, about to be having these emotional conversations with them or whatnot. But what up, Doe Smooth?
What's going on with y'all?
Oh shoot, chilling,
What's good?
bro. So but I then looking at it from the comfortable standpoint, like you said, yeah, you definitely want to be comfortable with somebody you're about to get in an actual relationship with, and so I definitely so that definitely makes a big difference. And I think that's a thing too. I think some people do jump into relationships after only dating for a little while, and sometimes marriages, we see that way too often where a person is jumping into a whole marriage and they're only just familiar with the person. They knew that they had a great time at an event or on a trip or something like that, and then they probably hung out for a whole night, and then now they want to get married, and it's like, calm down. You don't really know this person. You don't know what they're really like. You don't know what they're really about, and you just want to, now you want to start a whole life with them. So yeah, definitely makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
What's going on? Hey, Jessica, how are you? Somebody else commented over there. She just say hello, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Appreciate you joining. But yeah, Smooth. I don't know if you want to answer this one. I think we kind of drove it home, but if you want to, in terms of, do you think this is a good question to ask yourself before you get into a relationship? Is, am I familiar or comfortable with the person?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's definitely, definitely a great question. I prefer to be comfortable because, like familiar isn't really, that doesn't scream comfortability with me. Familiar just screams, like I know who this person is. I may like this person. I know a few things about this person. But when you're comfortable with somebody, that involves vulnerability.
Yeah.
So you can't be in a relationship if you're not vulnerable at some point.
Yes, indeed.
You feel me? I know the little macho men out there, they don't claim vulnerability, but in order for a relationship to work, both parties have to be vulnerable at some point. You're not going to compromise with somebody you're familiar with unless it's a business setting or something like that. But when we talk about a relationship, spending your life with somebody, that takes another level of commitment and compromise.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right, the next question that was on the list was, do I perform or alter myself to be loved by them? I think that's a good one. I'm gonna go ahead and start with Smooth since he just jumped in.
Yeah.
Do I have to perform or alter myself to be loved by them? Wow, that's
laugh.
That's a dope ass question. You don't supposed to change who you are. If I can't be me, then what's the point of being in this relationship? You feel me? Now, go back to my last comment on the last question. Compromise is a thing. So certain things that we do when we're single or when it's just us, when it's two of you, you can't do that to them things no more. You feel me? So you have to alter your lifestyle a little bit in order to be in a relationship. In my opinion, your core values, your morals, your principles, you don't violate those to get into a relationship. Now, I mean, if you got to change, because that's who you are at the core. So if you have to change your core or be somebody else, pretend to be somebody else for a relationship to work or to be loved, what is that really love? You feel me? Do they really love you? You feel me? If I can't be me, do you love me? Or like me and Sonny mentioned on this thing plenty of times, or do you love the idea of me?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I don't want you to love the idea of me because that's something you created in your mind. That's not me. You feel me? Allow me to be me and learn to love me for me.
Indeed.
And don't like my potential.
Yeah, that
Oh,
part.
right. Yeah. Oh, man, that's a big one. But that's definitely an age thing. Because I think a lot of people love potential when you're young, and I think that's semi okay. But when you get a little bit older, when you get into these other ages, these big ages, potential, you can't be falling in love with potential. Potential. Not to say it's out the window, but it's definitely shouldn't be one of the major stepping stones to a relationship. Go ahead, Dame. I'll let you continue.
I don't know, because this is funny, because when you first meet somebody, you're putting your best foot forward. You're not really, it's more of a show. You're not really being yourself. It's like you're filling each other out to see how far you can be more comfortable or familiar with this person first before you start going head first in a relationship. Do I have to perform myself? I would rather be myself. You to know and like me, love me for me, good and bad. Because once you say I do and walk down the aisle, you can't go back to faking it. Because once you go back to faking it, they're not going to really like you. Like, wait, I know you did that. Well, you didn't do that before. It might be a deal breaker for them.
Yeah. Sonny?
I've done that, and I'm gonna keep it a buck. I can't sit here on this podcast and act like I didn't. Earlier in my younger years, if most of y'all knew me, I was a tomboy. Didn't dress girly at all. Fought me to put dresses on. I just was not my fucking thing. I dated a guy who wanted me to be girly, and I was attempting to appease him by dressing up. Right. And super uncomfortable. Didn't like it at all. It took me till probably my late 20s to finally be comfortable in my own skin to dress girly. And now more so, and like even as my age progressed, you see me dress more girly than I probably ever did in my entire life. But I did it because it appeased him, not necessarily altered myself, but at the same time I did because I wanted to be this girly girl, and he ended up cheating on me anyway and breaking up with me because I wasn't girly enough, because I still was a tomboy at heart. I was fixing stuff in the house I didn't need him to fix, like taking out the trash, and he wanted like a debutante, and you met me in sweatpants at a dude's house playing a PlayStation. I don't know how more it was 6 niggas and me playing playing a game, and that's how you met me. Like I every time you came over, I had sweatpants or some basketball shorts or nigga shit. And I don't know why you thought that all of a sudden, like I was gonna date you and I was gonna snap and be a girl and start wearing dresses and shoes and stuff. Now I love shoes, but it took me to do that for myself. It had nothing to do with anyone. It had to do with me. But I found myself trying to do something for a person, and at the end of the day, it still didn't matter. Yeah. So now for me no, compromise to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, what you see day one is what you get. Other than learning more about me in the process of us dating, yeah. But I am myself, and I'm not gonna stop being who I am to make you anything. Anything I chose to change about myself, I did it because of me. Right. It's never gonna be because of a man. And I say that even understanding I wanted guys to change for me. And it's like, no, I had to see who he was. And if I didn't like it, keep it pushing, because I can't make him be who I want him to be. He's going to be unapologetically himself. This is why my blog ended up being Unreservedly Me, because you're going to get me. And if you don't like it, bye.
Right. Yeah, Jessica says, no, never change. Be who you are. Yeah, and that's
That
definitely.
Yeah, but Smooth's point, he is correct. You are not going to change your core values and your beliefs. Like, you might compromise on entertainment or something insignificant. Like, you might go, like, I used to go out a lot. Then I got broke. Then I was like, now I'm a homebody now. But you know, my wife wants to go out. I don't mind going out with her. You know, it's something I don't do anymore because it takes a lot of time and effort to be around people. I hate people now. But that's a compromise of not of you, but just your entertainment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, definitely. I feel like it's definitely a thing of make sure that you are enough for the person that you're going to be with. Make sure that you're not, overselling something that's, like Dame said, that's a fantasy. That's going to be unrealistic to continue and hold up. Make sure that you're comfortable in your skin. That you're comfortable being the real you, because the real you is going to show eventually, and you're not going to be able to hide this from that person forever. And then also being able to stand on what you either believe in or how you feel about certain things. And, to the point you guys are making about, sometimes having to make a compromise. And sometimes it's just a matter of being like, you know what, I understand this isn't making or breaking me, and then I can adjust for this, and I've done it, I've definitely, in a relationship saying, oh, you know what, wearing a certain thing or going a certain place this one thing, it's not going to change who I am. It might help me out a little bit, or it might be nice, to do for a change. But how I feel about certain aspects of my life, how I feel about certain things that I need to be doing as a man, certain things that I need to do for my kids, I'm not changing that because I want to satisfy somebody that I want to date or be in a relationship with. It's like, no, I have to be able to do what I think is right for me, for my, for my personality, or for my, just the way I want to live my life, and like Smooth was saying, sometimes we have to make some adjustments in our life because, one, we're not single anymore, or we're trying not to be single. And, you have to make some adjustments for being in a relationship. But, in terms of what is core to you, make sure that's enough. And if that person doesn't like what you are and who you are, then that's not the right person for you. That's not the right situation for you. You should be able to recognize that and be able to move on and find what's right for you,
And I feel as though if you secure with who you are, I think that's the number one thing. If you secure with who you are, love who you are, then you wouldn't have the urge to perform or alter yourself to be loved by somebody else, because you love who you are. I love how far I came. I was just having a conversation with somebody about this. I love how far I came as a man from what I was 10 years ago, before I had my daughter, or even before, further back than that. I just love who I'm becoming. You feel me? Who I'm evolving into. So I'm not about to stop that for no one. I'm not about to change that for no one. I'm gonna continue to evolve. But if I'm in a relationship, and I am, I have to, I can't be so stubborn. You can't be stubborn. Some things you're gonna have it's a give and take. You know what I mean? It's a give and take a little bit. But like I said, as long as you don't violate your core of who you are, then you know what I mean, you're good.
Oh, for sure. And that kind of goes along with this question as well. We don't have to deep dive into this one. We just basically just talked about the same thing, making sure your core value and beliefs align. Now it's a little bit different, but because it's talking about like being true to yourself and your core values, but also are the ones that they have, do they align to that? And I definitely think that that's one of those things that's important, because sometimes those core values and beliefs can be wildly different between people. And sometimes people will try to overlook those things, But I think certain things can be different. It doesn't have to be 100% spot on, 100%, fully aligned. But the things that are most important to you, or things that you're not going to get upset about later and be like, you know what, I hate that you feel this way, and then now you're in this, argument or having unnecessary disagreements, because you didn't align that. That's what you have to make sure that you recognize. Anybody else want to take just a quick stab at this one, and we can move on to another one?
I think we actually might have did a show on this before.
We did. We did a whole show on this. Yep.
Yeah. So and I think just real simply, if there's a respect there, if there's a difference there, but a respect there and an understanding, then you can prosper.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. What up, Dohain?
I think my bad, I'm late.
Oh no worries. You ain't never late if you show up.
H2H cleaning had a busy day.
I always say you ain't never late if you show up.
I had a couple cleaning jobs today.
Were you doing your shows?
Then I'm right on time.
Hey, Hank, were you doing your shows?
You speaking of the How to Hustle podcast from Hype, available every Tuesday at 2 p.m. on the GFT Radio Network. I was not doing that. Episode 114 out right now. That's not what I was doing. I was doing H2H Cleaning, which is available at H2H Cleaning on Instagram only. Roof and plumbing, HVAC, flooring, cleanups, cleanouts. If you make it worth my while, we'll slide to the D and get you all the way situated.
For sure. So question number 7 on that list was, am I attracted to their heart, values, and character? I think this is a big one too. Sonny?
What you mean by heart? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think let's all speak to it. What we think. I in my opinion, I think what they mean by heart is just, what things do they love? Do they value? Do they hold dear to them? Things like that. Like, are you attracted to the fact that they love their kids, that they love their
how
friends,
they care for others,
how they care? You're right. Are they empathetic? Things like that. Like what is, So
those things that are like a second
good
nature
thing to consider before you get into that relationship with them.
I think probably what will attract me more to someone, like just meeting them and getting to know them, is probably their values and their character. Their heart will come last, because then I'll get to know. You may see sprinkles of it, but I think you see it more once you're really in it, right? But when you're getting to know them and just talking to them by conversation and just seeing how they are and who they are by the different interactions, like the different dates, the different things that you do, the conversations that you have, you get to learn what their values and their character are. So sometimes you can get somebody with your character and your values. Just if your values match mine, or your character is similar to mine, or something I'm looking for in a mate, it makes me more attracted to you. Of course, I would assume if you have good values and good character, you have a good heart. You're not out here cussing out waiters and going the extra mile over dumbness. You're not hot-headed. You're not doing none of this stuff. So yeah, I'm going to see that too, but I think I'll see the heart more in once I get to the point where I see you interacting with your family members, interacting with people you disagree with, different things. So then I get to know your heart, like how you love, because you pay attention to somebody long enough, you get to learn that type of stuff. But initially, I think the values and the character is probably going to attract me first. The heart is soon to follow, because you're seeing that in the values and character. It's kind of like a mixture of it.
Yeah, indeed. Smooth.
With me, I'm a little bit reverse, because if we're talking heart, as in how you care for others, how you empathize with others, to me that's big. And Sonny mentioned it about if we go somewhere and you're rude to the waiter, you feel me, you're gonna be sitting by yourself. I don't do that. I don't do that. Especially somebody who's been in the service industry. That shit ain't cool. I'm big on treating the janitor just like you treat the CEO.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? That may speak to character, but to me, that also speaks to your heart, to your empathy. You know what I mean? You're not placing nobody on a pedestal that they don't deserve. Mm-hmm. Values, yes, that may be my second thing. Mm-hmm. That may be my thing, and I think that leads into character, because I think your values determine your character or dictate where your character goes. So that's why I put that as at number 2. Because if you really grounded in your values, you feel me, your character will show that. You feel me? Whatever your values are. If you have fucked up values and you're grounded in those fucked up values, your character's gonna be fucked up. You know what I mean? It's just that simple. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, Dame.
I think the values are more important.
All y'all gonna have a different answer, leaving me and Hype with nothing. Go ahead,
I
Dame.
got something for you.
We all gonna come at different ways about it though.
Yeah, no
because I think because your core values would make you treat the other people like Hype Smooth said, in a better way. Because if you have core values to say, hey, you treat that janitor and the CEO the same. You offer both of them a beer, see what happens. We all cool. Then everything else will fall into place, because if they treat that CEO with the core values that they've been taught, just like the janitor, that means they have a good heart and to go along with it. It's like those 2 or 3 things are like interchangeable, because they all go around, they all circulate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. Hank?
I would say if somebody hits all 3 of these, that's how you end up at the store going into the engagement ring. It's hard to hit all 3 of these.
Indeed.
So as soon as I seen the question, I'm like, ugh. Start hitting all 3 of them, things get tricky on you. For me, character is the most important, because your character is going to show what type of heart she got. It's going to show all the heart, the values. Is going to give you all of that. Like if you're a person of low character, then that's going to show like that you're not very caring, and you don't think like Smooth said, you're treating the CEO and the person who opened the door for you, like treating them the same. Like you'll see all that through their character. You'll see all how they value, what do they value, because some people just value the wrong shit. Like some people just place a value on flat out the wrong things because they never been shown nothing else. So this is what they normalize and this is what they think is cool. So character is like the most important thing. I would even think, for me, character comes before even like the physical beauty, because the way that the world is set up, you can change shit. Like you got a mole here, we can put a little rouge on that and boom.
Right. Exactly.
You never even knew it was there. But you can't change a fucked up person. Like if you got fucked up insides, a fucked up view on the world, or you just a toxic person because all you ever been is hurt, then we can't do nothing. We can't put no rouge on that.
Right. Yeah. And actually Hank just said the same thing I was thinking. And the next question, I'm going first because forget all y'all. but I was thinking the same thing in terms of, for me, the character is the bigger thing. The all 3, I think Sonny, you said the same thing, and Smooth, you might have alluded to this, is that all 3 kind of go together at some point. At some point, they're all going to intermix. It's all going to be recognizable. Things are going to be recognizable. But I think that character, like Hank was saying, I feel like it shows in the initial introductions, in the initial interactions, things like that. And you'll start immediately getting an inkling of what's in their values, what's in their heart. But I think that, some people will let you know what their values are later on in those interactions, and then you start to get a bigger picture. So I think the character just shows. It's just in their actions. It's just how they interact with other people, how they treat their family, how they treat their friends, how they treat you. And then their values will kind of show in there, but then you'll get a full picture of their values later on as they start to tell you more, give you more insight, things like that. And then I think that's when the heart kind of comes along with it, because then you'll see also like, okay, are they really valuing what they value? Are they really taking care of what they want to take care of? Are they really doing the things that they say they're going to do? And if they have a strong heart or a weak heart when it comes to holding up their values, but their character is going to show you that already. There's going to be a lot of that already revealed to you up front. And same way that I'm saying, I'm big on, you could be, 10-star model, whatever people think is attractive, and you got a horrible character, fucked up attitude,
1-star attitude,
that's gonna make you a 2 or 3 to me in my rating, because I'm like, nah, You know, you don't know how to act. You don't know how to talk to people. You're dismissive. You know, you don't have any empathy. Things like that are going to make your value to me decrease, you know, and it's not going to be appealing. It's not going to be attractive. And so being attracted to all those things are so important. And especially from a standpoint of if you're going to be in a relationship with a person and you think that they got, you know, bad morals, or they have, you know, or they're not, you know, they don't stand on the values that they want to portray, or their character's messed up in your eyes. How are you going to be in a whole relationship with this person just because they buy you nice things, they say nice things to you occasionally? It's not going to line up, and it's not going to match up. So yeah, definitely don't get into a relationship like that. I think we kind of touched on this earlier. Am I willing to honor our differences? I think Smooth earlier mentioned having respect for the things that don't align. So I definitely feel like honoring the differences is important because, you know, we're human. We're not always going to have the same values, the same morals, the same core values. We're not going to always have the same things in mind when it comes to things we like, things we don't like. So the things that we do agree on that's great. But the things that we don't, we do have to be able to say, you know what, this is okay. I think I mentioned this earlier when I was saying how, you know, being able to know that I'm not altering my personality, or I'm not, you know, giving in on who I am, but I'm able to say, you know what, this is me, take me as I am. And this person being able to say, you know what, that's fine. And that works for you. It doesn't work for me, but it works for you. And I'm okay with that because you're still a better person, you know, regardless of this, or this isn't making you a horrible person, or this isn't changing my feelings about you. Having the ability to see that difference, but being okay with it. It says honor, but I like Smooth's words about it better. Just respect it. You know, respect the fact that we have a difference of opinion, knowing that, you know, when we agree to disagree, that it's okay. Sonny?
You mean, Sonny?
I think that's a really, really great question, because I feel like a lot of people, sometimes we expect you out of our mate. Like, so you may do something to piss me off, but you wouldn't have reacted the way I did. So you're upset, not because I'm upset, you're upset the way I reacted, because you wouldn't have done that. I think in that aspect, we definitely sometimes we lose sight of that, both sexes. But I think that you have to understand, like you said, you gotta love somebody as they are. Like, do you like this person as they are to date them without trying to change who they are? And then understanding that people change when they so choose to. If I see it's a problem, it's up to me to decide. If I see that's a problem in our relationship, and I see that maybe it's some way that I can fix it, and I'm willing to compromise, like Jessica said, yeah, then I'm gonna understand it. Like, I may not agree with the difference, but I can understand it, and then I can try to adjust myself so that way we come to a common ground. And I think a lot of people don't do that, like, especially when you get to arguing, you're stuck on your point, not failing to understand what the difference is and what that person is saying, because you're arguing to argue back without actually hearing what they're saying. And sometimes people take what you say and take it in their context of how they received it, and they're like, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you did this bothered me, and I love enough to tell you that, to, like I said, correct the behavior. Like, we have to do that, because it's not a thing where you immediately have to react. Sometimes you got to sit and think about things. And I've had people tell me, and you know, you was wrong in that conversation. Like, I know this person that did X, Y, Z, but you were wrong. And here's where you were wrong. And taking a step back and thinking about it, accepting accountability where I could understand why they got upset, and actually look, sometimes you need a different perspective. So if I talk to so-and-so and they give me this, I come back like, you know what? I was wrong. I could have handled this a little different. I know that you probably wouldn't have did it this way, but this is the only way I knew how. But now I know there's a different way to handle it. So now I'm going to, like, I understand where we differ, but I would appreciate if it occurs, you address me in a certain way, and we don't cross the line or cross a boundary that we can't come back from. So I think a lot of us have to work on that. But, like, that's a lot of people aren't in that mindset to do it. It's I'm right, you're wrong, and it's like no, we both could be wrong, or I could be more so wrong. Let me fix it.
Right.
And I also look at different. I could look at different. I could take it from a different perspective, and I agree with what both of y'all said. Sometimes, like Jess said, we got to compromise. Like Willie said, sometimes we have to agree to disagree, right? But sometimes our differences doesn't have to involve negative things. You feel me? Like I remember we just did a show recently, and I think me and Hank was saying, like, you know, I don't want you to be a carbon copy of me.
Right.
You feel me? I want there to be differences. You feel me? To me, that's what helps make the relationship. You got to be able to cover certain things that I can't cover. You feel me? You got to be. I want you to cover my blind spots, so to speak. You know what I mean? Those are our differences. So those are let's say a subset of differences that I want to honor. You feel me? That I respect. That I love. You feel me? If you could cover my blind spots with your differences, that's what I need. Not just what I want. That's also what I need. Now, as far as we go further in relationship and we come to some wild differences in how we doing the family and stuff like that, you know, it's always that gray area. It's like, what are certain differences? It's like, nah, we can't. I don't know if we can get past this. You feel me? That I think everybody has that, you know, whatever it may be. Like I said, raising a family, how we getting this money, how we spending money. You feel me? I told y'all before, I can't be with nobody who just gonna be spending money that we don't have.
Right.
You feel me? I've been in that position before. Like, you know what I mean? We spending more than we bringing in. We'll never get out that hole. You feel me? We'll never prosper. So those one of the differences that I can't honor.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel you there.
I feel that. Yeah, that makes sense because it's not. Yeah, we don't want people to take it like it's always has to be a negative thing. It just be a difference of opinions or different ideals or a difference of how we do things. And it's just like, okay, let's. I know how you do this, but this is, you know, might not be the great way to do it. But let's figure out a better way. Like I don't want to dismiss what you're doing, but let's find a better way to do it.
Exactly.
So you both can compromise on. Yeah, makes sense.
Something else that when we saying agree to disagree though, it's just all relationships are a compromise. You getting in a relationship is a complete compromise from whatever it was that you was doing. We hung the paper towels on the left, y'all hung them on the right at your house. We're gonna have to compromise and figure out how we gonna hang ours. But when we disagree on something, it's perfectly fine for us to disagree on it. We can't fester in that disagreement. You can't say
That's
I'm
true.
working on me and never actually do the work. You can't say I'm working. You either doing it or you're not. You either in the gym or you're not. Like you either putting up them shots or you're not. You can't say you're working on it, but we gonna always disagree and you never try to look at it from my point. Cause like to what Sonny was taking it as like you can't look at me and her having a conversation and I'm just giving her the reaction that I would have had, not looking at it from her perspective. Which means you're not working on it. That's not working on it if you just stuck in your ways and you're not trying to do anything to change your argument. Again, I always give Smooth the credit for that. You're not looking for the way to improve this argument or improve this situation. You're just looking to argue. Like you just looking to be argumentative, disagreeable, and not flexible, which makes a person that you don't want to be in a relationship with because you're not compromising. So people will always say like, I'm working on it, but like, are you really doing any work to work on it? Like, are you really trying to get better? Are you really trying to understand? But all of that comes out into your character, which all goes back to my point from the last drink. Character is everything. Like,
Indeed. Dame, you have a comment?
Yeah. Are you willing to honor our differences? The thing is, can you live with it too? Because is it a deal breaker that you're just honoring or respecting the other person's wishes just because you're that person? I mean, if it's a deal breaker, you really need to talk about it, say something so y'all can have that easy conversation, that awkward conversation to see where y'all can go from there.
Mhm.
because I see a lot of people hold resentment because they're shutting their mouth over a difference. It
Yeah,
could
they're
be a
afraid to
major
have the
difference to
hard
them.
conversations.
Yeah. It might be a big difference to you, but it might be something small to them that they don't know that you're harboring resentment for that. And later down the line, that little harbored resentment comes into a big argument.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Before we go on, Willie, is it just me or is your picture out?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, my I had to stop my camera.
Okay.
No, I'm still here though. Don't worry. I still got you. I'm still in this. I'm still in this. Oh, now
My
something just
bad,
popped up
y'all.
over
I
here.
got some custom hustle stuff going on. Is why I ain't on the screen. Trying
Yeah,
to get
no worries.
the threes done.
Okay.
available this month in all colors.
Um, actually, I think Dame just spoke on this one. Am I willing to accept their flaws? Anybody else have a comment on that?
We all
I'm
have
willing
flaws.
to accept. Yeah, you have
It
to be willing
depends
to
on what the
accept
flaw
flaws.
is,
None of
because
I
I don't.
know. Exactly. That's what I was about to say. We all have flaws. So, like, to each person, it's we all gonna have that one, like Dame said, that's a deal breaker. You know what I mean? If you walking around kicking toddlers and shit, like, nah, that's, you feel me? That's a flaw I can't get over. You feel me? You can't be beating on the kids like that. But you know what I mean?
Kicking toddlers. Yeah, yo.
You feel me? Like, it's like we all have flaws. You feel me? You don't brush your teeth. You feel me? Like, you know what I mean? Hygiene is important. So if you got a fucked up, if I find out you got a fucked up hygiene, like, you know what I mean?
Like, how
Some
old
gotta
are we
get.
that you still ain't doing that? Like, nah, I'm not
But
about to.
it's some people who hygiene are fucked up. You feel me? Who we see these people every day. They look good, look beautiful on the outside. But you go in that house and you like, oh shit.
Oh, you cook with the pets? Oh my, nope.
You know what I
Oh man, not cooking with the pets. Terrible.
Listen, I can't date you if I
Find
go to
out.
your house and I got to worry about shaking my clothes off when I leave.
You find out a lot about somebody by
Not
looking
the
at the bottom
pets.
of the toilet.
Because if I listen,
That's facts, Hank.
If the bottom of your toilet is clean on the front and a little shaky on the back, that means you half do shit.
Right, right.
You are half assing this shit. If your joint is spick and
Literally.
span on both sides, or
they probably don't wash their legs when they're in the shower either.
Right.
Oh,
Mm-mm.
They
You
wait
leave
to
Tyrese
let
out of
the
this.
water run down.
You
Right,
leave
right.
Tyrese out of this.
So Jessica said
Oh, go ahead.
anything can be worked through with effort. That's what most relationship lack.
copy.
And that's a fact. I don't like the word anything though.
Yeah, but I said because I was cool with it, but like not
Yeah.
anything. Because like
Yeah.
to Smooth point, you kicking toddlers. Like you've been kicking toddlers for how long, and I'm just gonna supposed to stop you. That's not my effort for me to get you to stop kicking toddlers.
But
If you don't wash the back of your toilet, like I shouldn't have to tell you at this age to be doing certain like some shit. You just like listen. We too old.
anything is fine when she puts the word effort in there, though. Because if you're
Yeah.
trying, if you're actually stopping to kick these toddlers, if you actually got down here with Lysol wipes, you know what I'm saying? You have to put effort in. Anything is possible if you put.
But
effort
Haim,
in.
you changing them. You changing the person that they
And then on
are.
top of that, they have to have the effort, not me. It's,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not. I'm not. What am I
she-
going to do to make you get
You
effort?
wanna change
Besides,
that person.
like I got to
Her
tell you to brush your
comment-
teeth.
Her comment don't say she's putting the effort. She just said anything can be fixed with effort. She didn't say who had the
Yeah.
job of effort.
Right.
That's that part.
See, Sonny is looking at it from just Sonny's perspective.
I'm just saying
not
because like
looking
I
at it
just certain.
from the other
I'm
person's
40. I'm not
perspective,
dealing with
which
no
is what you
grown
just
ass man
said.
that ain't doing shit he's supposed to be doing.
But even
No,
with
as long as-
when you talk about say if there's communication issues, right? And it's just y'all keep butting heads. At some point, you feel me? If you put the effort, like I can understand that point. If you put the effort in, you can work through that. The flaw is not being willing to put in the effort.
That part.
So if a person not willing to put in the effort, and I think a lot of people got effort fucked up too. They think the shit's supposed to be easy. They think it's a one-day fix. No, this is an everyday continuous thing.
Yeah, got to be a continuous thing. Yep.
Yeah.
Consistency into the effort is how you see a change. If I go to the gym Monday and Tuesday, then the rest of the week I'm not doing anything, guess what? Your fat ass isn't on a diet.
Right.
You just did something on Monday and Tuesday. If I ask you on Saturday, you're like, huh? What?
I think at that point,
Exactly.
words go out the window. Actions is everything.
Yes.
Actions.
The
Well,
actions
yeah,
gonna tell me
actions
whether or
are
not you
always
really
everything.
you really care, because you can't tell me I did this and I don't care about none of that.
The funny thing
do
about
I actually
words
see
is
a
they
difference
say
now?
anything. The funny thing about words is they can say anything.
That part.
You're gonna look at any TV show in the world and see these two actors look each other deep in their eyes, and you're gonna go, man, Carl Winslow loved Harriet. And I believed it. Uncle Phil loved Aunt Viv, and you believed it. Them niggas were
Both of
acting.
them.
None of that shit wasn't real.
Both of them,
Okay.
So, and I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I'm gonna play devil's advocate.
Go
Yes,
ahead.
sir.
Because
So,
I've been hearing this my whole
doesn't have
life.
his ceiling fan going anymore, y'all. He's gonna gloss over that.
I've been hearing this my whole life. Actions speak louder than words. I want to see actions. Man, all of us have been fooled by actions our whole life.
That part. Love bombing is real.
Yeah, intentions. Now, I mean, people. We talked about was in one of your questions earlier, Willie. Perform. People are very performative until they get what they want. Women should know this more than anybody. You feel me? A nigga will tell you he love you, do all this. Once he get them draws, he forget your name. You understand? So like,
right.
You know what I mean? Don't y'all fall for actions all the time. You know what I mean? You right, Jessica.
We fall for
She's saying
love
no, you
bombing
can't hide
too.
who you are. But for a time, men and women can hide who they are. I don't see men fall victim to that.
I've seen I've seen women play a whole chameleon game with me. Exactly. I've been a victim of it too.
That's facts, because people can be
so like
put on like to Dane's point, they put on their best representative, and then 2 months in, you starting to see they because they check they preserve their crazy until later, and you're like, wait. It's funny because my cousin said this on the podcast with Sex and Sunny. She was like, she liked to make a dude that she's dating mad to see how he gonna react, because that'll show her like that'll show her how not like nothing like crazy, but like do something little, like something minute, just to see how he's gonna react. And it's crazy because I'm not saying I'm with it, but at the same time, I like it. You get like sometimes you really won't see a person and see a person's true colors until they're mad. Like sometimes you won't see it; they kind of hide it, and it's like you don't know. Like, are they going to take something as simple as something small and take it the extra mile and go ham?
That's a real thing too. That's a real thing.
Because it could be something small. It could be something real stupid and just to piss him off, and then he take it to the extreme, and it's like.
But I don't. For me,
stuff like that.
I don't do the mind game. Like, I don't do the mind games. Like, don't play mind games with me. Don't play mind games with me because technically you're lying. Technically, you're the one not being real. You're the one performing. So the issue is you, not me. In that situation. Now, I mean, you're the fucked up individual in that situation if you're playing mind games on me. What the point I wanted to make was you'll see not just when they're mad, Sonny, but when hard times hit.
Yeah.
That's what you see when people true
colors. I've seen a lot of guys where it's like they was cool, and when shit got real, they went like, and it's crazy because I've dated people where if I hit a hard time and I needed them to be there, they didn't even know how, and they couldn't. Or like not to say they didn't know how, they just checked out. And it's like when I needed you, you weren't there, and now you want me to be like everything is fine. It's weird. So, or even when they're going through stuff,
Right.
and how they either push you away, different things. Cause some people just do that. It's not just guys, it's females do it too. So you get to see that side of that person. So it's one of those things that's an eye-opening situation. You get to see who they are when the road gets rough, who they are.
Yeah. So, and I definitely agree with Smooth. I think we talked about this in the past about the whole actions speak louder than words. But I definitely believe that intentions speak volumes, though. Your intentions will show more often than not. And Jessica made a good point about this in her comments. She said, before a guy wants those panties, they're going to show what they want. Us women just ignore what is shown before we want to believe what we want at the time. And I think for us guys, we go through the same thing. A woman can be like, I like to have a guy, pay for blah, 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 or I like to get, this thing done and that thing done. And then it'd be like, okay, that's fine. But then you start to see what the intention is. And then you forget that, or you ignore that because, she's shaking titties in front of your face, or she's shaking ass. And then you're like wondering why, she's asking you like, oh, you're going to pay for my surgery. You're going to pay for my $15,000 shoes, and you're gonna pay for my $30,000 purse. And it's like, oh wait, how did this happen? How did I get involved in this? And it's like, because you ignored the fact that she told you that's what she wanted, or in terms of just people, like you say, being performative. Sometimes you're going to just run into that. Some people are better performers than others. Let's admit it. Some people won't show their hand up front. But you definitely have to be looking out for the flags, the signs, things like that. I think Sonny, mentioned the term love bombing, which, can definitely be a thing for some people. That's their method, but also there's some, intentions behind that, and you'll see them in either the way that they, present these things, and the way that they want, you to act a certain way behind it. So it becomes evident of what that intention is. So I think the intention is definitely the bigger thing there that you want to look out for.
Exactly. You feel
me? So the last few questions, we'll try to run through these, and then make sure you go over to the Instagram post if you want to see the rest of the questions. Are questions you should, definitely ask yourself about the person that that you're trying to get into a relationship with. One of which is, can they handle constructive criticism? That's a big one. I definitely think that's huge because, and it's and this kind of goes with the thing of making compromises, because sometimes you just want a person to understand that you feel like either they're not doing something that's beneficial to them, or that's helpful to their situation, or whatever the case may be. But they may take it as, oh, you're trying to change me, or oh, you just don't like this and you don't understand, and then they blow up and they're getting upset because they feel like you're bullying them or putting upon them and things like that. And that's not always the case. You could just be giving them like, hey, if you wear this, this might look better. And then they're like, oh my God, you're going to make me look crazy, whatever the case may be. And they're getting mad at you because you're just like, oh, I'm just offering you some advice. I think it's important to also understand, if that person is not only able to handle the constructive criticism, how do they not handle it? Do they handle it just by dismissing what you're saying, or do they handle it by attacking you? Because the thing is, it's okay if they're like, oh, you know what, that's fine that you think that way. I don't agree, and they move on. And then the other type of person that's going to be like, oh no, they want to take your criticism and flip it back on you, or they want to, you give them some type of constructive criticism, and then they're, pointing out your flaws or your issues and things like that, being defensive about the thing. So
it becomes like a low-key attack.
Exactly.
I think delivery, when it comes to constructive criticism, delivery is key.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
How you say it. I enjoy criticism. I always I did a whole thing with my friends, sending them, tell me what flaws y'all see in me, or what y'all think. I did a whole thing about, a few years back about that. You know what I mean? So, and you'll see who your real friends are. I tell people do that. You'll see who your real friends are, because some people may just say some shit to placate you. Those not your real friends. You feel me? Because they don't want to have no uncomfortable conversations with you. And constructive criticism sometimes can be uncomfortable. That's why delivery is key. But I enjoy it. You know, if I'm lacking, you got to tell me I'm lacking. How else would I improve? If you don't tell me, I'm out of pocket, you feel me? You enjoy seeing me in a fucked up position. And my mate shouldn't enjoy seeing me in a fucked up position. So they should, hey, get on your square. You're not doing what you're supposed to do here. You're not doing what you're supposed to do there. So we all should be receptive to constructive criticism. But we also, if we want to give it, we got to learn our mate's love language, so to speak, how to talk to him, how to communicate that criticism.
Oh yeah, that's big.
Everybody's different.
Everybody's different. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can criticize.
I don't like it.
Criticize me one way. We could be straight and direct. Man, Clint, you fucking up. You know what I mean? He know I ain't gonna be offended by the language. He could just. But if he go to Sonny, he might gotta say to Sonny a different way.
No, I want it hard. I'm a tourist the shit out of it and be mad and shut down. But I heard you. I told my cousins all the time when we have conversations, and my friends be like, and I tell them, and it's just being honest. Like, I don't like hearing it. I want to hear it, right? Give it to me. Don't sugarcoat it. Me and Smooth, he done told me about myself several times over. And but at the end of the day, did I like it in that moment? No. Who wants to hear? I'm sorry, I'm not that person. I don't want to hear it, but I need to hear it. And I'm gonna love you as a friend to tell me about myself and check me when I'm fucking up, or like to Smooth's point, not on my square. Tell me, like, yo, get your shit together. Don't give it to me sugarcoated. Give it to me the way I gotta give it. I'm a tourist the shit out of it and shut down and be like all quiet. But I heard you, and when you leave me, I'm gonna sit there and think about everything you said to me, and I'm a you know, well, maybe I need to do this right. Like, I didn't want to hear it in the moment. I needed to. And as much as I was shutting down and non-responsive and getting all defensive, I heard it, and I'm gonna work on it. But that's just how I operate. Like, I can't handle it in the moment. I can handle it as a delayed response. And I'm just being honest.
Right. Jessica says, I love it. Help me improve myself. And she says, we all have stages in our life. Constructive criticism helps you grow, because the point is to elevate, not stagnant. Exactly. Yeah.
So everything that's stagnant.
When your name of the show, the name of your show is Sex with Sonny, you can't say "Give It to Me Hard" when you just gloss right over that.
Listen,
I'm
want that hard too. Just for clarification.
So nobody's gonna say anything about that. We're just gonna let that one slide.
I don't want to have that hard conversation with Sonny. Paul. Now, question number 19 on the list was: are they self-aware? Do they have a healthy sense of self or emotional maturity?
Sapphire, where you at, baby?
I know, right?
Oh my God, we gotta find her somewhere.
I was thinking about Sapphire the other day. Like, man, she used to give us such good insight on questions like this. For sure.
Are they self-aware? That's a good one. You know, I talk about the mirror all the time. You know what I mean? A lot of us scared to evaluate ourselves honestly. You know, because that's a hard thing. Like, that's a hard thing. I don't care how real you claim to be. You feel me? I've been in that mirror and broke down. You feel me? Like,
I look at myself in the mirror a lot of days. Like, I can't even recognize the person I see. I don't respect myself in this moment. Like,
absolutely, and it's real when you got to have those conversations with yourself. And that's when it goes back to some of the things we talked about earlier: your values, your character, and stuff like that. If you're a high character individual, you really secure in your values, you can work. You can learn to be self-aware. It's hard to judge that with people, because, like we just said in the previous question, people are performative. So some of those things takes a little time. Now, do they have a healthy sense of emotional maturity? Sapphire used to say emotional intelligence.
Mhm.
I think a lot of us lack it, to be honest with you. I think a lot of us aren't as emotionally intelligent as we claim to be or think we are. You feel me? Because we may not, if we are, we want to attract some of the things we've attracted.
Mhm.
You feel me?
Right.
We wouldn't have been in some of the situations. And I'm talking to those of us, including myself, who's been in some fucked up situations with some fucked up people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if I was that emotionally intelligent, I wouldn't have put myself in those situations. You
Right.
feel me? So you have to be self-aware as before you could claim somebody else to know if somebody else is self-aware, and you yourself have to be emotionally mature before you can worry about if somebody else emotionally mature.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
That part. That's facts.
I think most of us aren't like self-aware, not even self-aware. Like Smooth is saying, it's rough to have that honest moment with yourself. People can keep it real with you all day long, but they can't keep it real with themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we could. I don't think it's right for us to put that on people when we know that most people aren't equipped with that skill. That is a very rare thing that you will find in people. So if you find it, try to hold on to it. But it's not something that I think everybody has. It's just like the
Yeah.
common sense thing. If common sense was common, it would just be called sense.
It would just cause
Like
sense.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
called common sense. There's a huge difference there. Like so, I think that's a hard one to like have on your checklist because it's like everybody ain't got that ability to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I'm with you, hype. I mean, I like the question. I love the question, and I
Copy. It's a
love
good
the
question,
aspect
but you
of
know,
it because it does make you think about the fact that you do want to recognize that in a person that you're going to be in a relationship with. But I think there's two other things you got to consider here. First off, are you self-aware? Do you have a healthy sense of self and emotional maturity? Are you able to take a look at yourself in the mirror and recognize that that you have flaws or that you have things that you want to work on, or that you aren't standing on the things that you purport that you're going to be standing on, or that you're not holding up your end of the bargain, or that you have things that you're just, and I mean the bargain by your own bargain, things that you bargain with yourself. Like, I want to be this in my life. I want to have that in my life. I want to be able to do this for my kids. I want to do this for my community. I want to do this for myself. But also, is that person able to articulate that or show you that about themselves? I was having a conversation and was able to say to a question that yeah, you know what, I don't think I have this what's the word, I don't have this quality or this trait, right? And the person I was talking to was able to say, okay, you know what, that's good. You're able to recognize that about yourself. That's good that you're able to. So me being able to say that to them, they can understand that I'm self-aware enough about what I have going on, or about what I'm thinking, about what I'm going through. And I think that if you can have those kind of conversations with a person, you can have those kind of revealing discussions, as well as them actually being honest, not only with themselves, but with you about themselves, then you can answer that question. Then you can, make that part of your checklist. But unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people, even the person on the front end, is able to do that for themselves, let alone recognize somebody, in front of them doing the same thing. That's the question for that other person, right? Like, are you showing them? And so I think, but the good thing about having this question in this post and in this topic that we're discussing is being able to tell people, like, look, if you want this from that person, I think we talked about this before. What you want from somebody else, you got to be able to do yourself.
That part.
You can't be out here demanding perfection or even close to it from somebody, and you're not perfect, and that you're not
up left and right.
You can't demand something from somebody you can't give them. It's not fair, and it's not fair to them. It's definitely not fair. It's not even fair to yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I want to piggyback on what Willie's saying, and I want to get a flip side of the self-aware, and this leads into the emotional maturity part of the question too. Sometimes you can notice a person being too hard on themselves. You feel me? Because that's the downfall of trying to be self-aware, trying to be aware of all your flaws, you can become very, very hard on yourself. So as a partner, you got to be able to notice that too. You feel me? And figure out, is it a lack of emotional maturity that's causing that, or they're trying to overdo it? You feel me? Because there's always a flip side to it. You know, that's just how I see it. It's always a flip side to it, because sometimes people can be too in their heads, you feel me, and trying to improve, and then it turns negative.
Yeah.
Because then you're negatively attacking yourself and you're not benefiting yourself in the
And you hurting the relationship.
Yeah.
They hurt the relationship. Yep, for sure. For sure.
But that's like where you
People
get
is
to the
their
point where
own
you're
worst
like,
enemy, though.
go ahead. I'm sorry, Hype. Go ahead.
Some people is their own worst enemy. Can't get out the way. Can't get out that. Again, like I was just talking about, like they can't get out that mirror. They can't stop looking at every little blemish. Like I just said, they like fuck the rouge. You're like, don't you see the other one? And I got this other thing, and it's this and it's that. It's like, get off your own ass. God damn.
Absolutely.
It's cool to be constructive, but it's not cool to be obsessively just fucking yourself up. Like,
I think people do that when they also live in their hurt. That's all they know. Every time they talk, it's from a hurt place. And you're not bettering yourself because you're not dealing with the hurt or what hurt you. So when they're criticizing, they're like essentially like it's almost like when somebody dealing with, like, they've been through some stuff and they blame themselves. Like, I should have known better. Like,
victim mentality.
You keep doing it and you're not understanding that shit just happens. Like we said, some people come pull the wool over your eye. Love bombing is real. That it starts great and they bomb you with all this attention and all these gifts, and all of a sudden it's a switch up. Sometimes people just are very good at hiding their intentions and everything in their approach with you of who they actually are. And sometimes, like, even the best of us, we know better, but sometimes we don't do better. And it's okay to know that you don't do better sometimes, but you can grow from it. Don't stay stuck in it.
Absolutely. Indeed. All right. One last one before we wrap this up. And I think this is a big one too. Goes along with that comfortability thing. But can I trust this person with my heart? Not only am I comfortable with them, but can I trust them? You know, do you have a level of trust with that person?
Can you trust yourself with your heart?
I don't give a fuck. Can I trust you with my mind? Don't play with my mind. Like, my mind.
I think that's part of your heart too. I think that's
like my mind. That's kind of semantics. It's the same.
Yeah. Feel me? My heart just pump blood. You feel me? It's an organ. My mind, don't play tricks with my mind. So if I can trust you not to fuck with my mind, you know what I mean? Because I'm never gonna be heartbroken. But you can break a motherfucker mind. You can break a motherfucker up here. So as long as I can trust you with this, even if we don't work out, you know what I mean? I'm cool.
I think it's less of a trust, and it's weird because I say this and I think I really believe this. I feel like we have to learn to trust ourselves with our heart. Because we know, to Jessica's point, we know who we getting. Sometimes you set yourself up for failure knowing, because sometimes you're either determined to make things work, because I've done it. Like I used to leave quick, fast, in a hurry. You do some bullshit, I'm out. And then I started like holding on a little longer, setting myself up. And it's not necessarily being hard on myself, but like sometimes we know it in our mind, and we just like, I love them. Somehow my love is going to change them, or it's like that. So I wouldn't want to say, can I trust you in my heart? Can I allow myself to give you that? That is more of where I would come from. Can I allow myself to give you that? Because if I give it to you, obviously I would trust you with it, right? But I just got to learn to,
You're smooth.
That's always been my beef with you. Stop taking the onus off of them.
I'm not, but you know how we know stuff.
But that's what you're doing. You feel me? The question is, can I trust them? You have to be able to trust them. You feel me? Hank is married. Willie's been married. In order for them to get to that step, they had to trust you, and that has to come from them. You feel me? That has to come from them. They have to give you something to trust. You feel me? You can't, the onus can't be on, oh, do I trust myself enough to give them my heart? But then that's like saying they can do whatever they want with it once they get it. You feel me? And that's not the case. They have to prove, and you have to prove to them that they can trust you with their heart. You feel me?
You know, this is also telling you, and she admitted this earlier in the show, is that you're not emotionally ready to be in a relationship, because if you feel like you can't even trust yourself with your own heart to give it to somebody, that means that you're not even in touch with what your heart needs. You're not in touch with what you need emotionally. You're not in touch with what you need in a relationship, because you're not ready for this. You're not ready to be out there, figuring out who you can trust with it, because you're not at that point where you're comfortable with yourself, or with yourself, from a relationship standpoint, whatever the case may be. So I definitely think it's you do have to kind of start that healing process with love yourself first, figure out what you need, and then get back out there and figure that out afterwards.
This is the question that you ask yourself before you get married. Is Smooth jumped right all on it. Me. My wife, that was my wife coming in the kitchen right there. That's the question that you ask, is like, all right, yeah, you love them and all of that, but it's like, ultimately, the best thing that I can give you is me, and can I trust you with me? If we still at the state where I don't trust myself with myself, then yeah, you can't be in a relationship. That's why she said she's not. That's a strong evaluation of self, way to make a strong assessment, and be on it. Hard conversation to have, but way to have it. But that's the whole thing. When you thinking about, am I gonna marry this person? Is we gonna be together? You got to have all of these conversations that we're having. You need to have had before you get to the stage of, am I gonna get this person me? Am I gonna get this person my dad's name? The biggest thing for me with this whole situation is, I always tell people, I don't play with my name. You notice on the podcast, I start asking people what you think of when you hear my name, because there's not a person you will ever meet who got something bad to say about me. If a nigga got something bad to say about me, one thing you can know is that nigga don't know Hank, because you get your name from your father, dead or alive. My father is to be respected. Like, that's the bottom line. Nigga ain't gonna never throw my dad name out there and they go, that nut ass nigga. Ain't nobody you gonna ever meet gonna say that. So if I'm gonna give this woman his name, we have to have done all the drills, questions, games that you can play, so that all right, she's cool enough for me to give her me. Because ultimately, when we get to the stage where you need those prescriptions filled, your leg hurt, arm hurt, and you need to make sure she's going to be able to take care of it. If it's a woman, then he's going to be able to take care of it. But that is the conversation of, do we become now, is it just we go from me to we? Right. And that is a very difficult conversation, but those experiences and all of that character that they've shown you over the years will lead you down to I should buy this ring that cost enough money that I had to pay it off for a little bit. I had leaking them on my ass. Or do you go, nah, I just knock her girlfriend off and break up with her?
Right. No doubt. Yeah, no, I definitely agree that it's one of those things you have to be ready, not only just to give yourself, but to know that person's going to take your best interest at heart, that they're going to have your not only your best interest, but the two of you as a collective, that it's going to be that relationship that you're both all in, and that you're ready, they're ready to do what's necessary to make this thing not only work, but to thrive. You know what I'm saying? To grow, because we've all said it all day, and some of the people in the comments have said it. We change over time. We have things that we have to adapt to over time. There's compromises we're going to make. There's so much to these relationships that sometimes people just don't take the necessary step to say, you know what, how am I going to feel when XYZ happens, and what is this person going to do to help me with this, or what am I going to do to help them? I think Smooth, you mentioned earlier about picking up the slack when things can't be handled by this one person. This other person's got to pick up the slack. Can I trust this person? And trust is a big, heavy thing. It's not something you should be giving out lightly. It's not something you should just give to everybody, but it's something that not only that comfort level, not only those compromises, not only those values, that heart, that character. There's so many things involved in that. In order for you to be able to say, you know what, I do truly trust this person because I know their heart is this, their values are this, their core values align with mine in these areas. You know, I know that I'm comfortable being vulnerable to them about these things, and that I know that they're not going to betray me, let me down, or give me, or cause me harm, and then I'll be able to give that person myself.
And
Jessica says you can only trust what you see because unfortunately no one knows anyone 100%. You're only trusting that what they showing you or giving you. But like we said, over time, the intent, the revelations, and then some of the things that you just don't think about asking a person or discussing with a person, their intentions are going to show through in a lot of that when you have those heavy conversations.
So that this is why trust is not a thing that shouldn't be a thing that's easily given. Trust has to go through trials, tribulations. It has to go through years of scars. It has to go. You got to get dirt on it. You got to get some band-aids on it. You got to have it bled out.
It's a verb. It's not a noun or adjective.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like
verb.
Trust is
like it's
trust
action.
is like yeah, trust is a huge thing, and this is why I keep saying this too. Is everybody is not in your corner. Everybody talks about their circle. Your circle is. There's so many people who walk a motherfucker to the ring. The fight was just on Saturday. How many niggas walking you to the ring? There's 90 niggas and a nigga performing a song when you walk to the ring. But in your corner, in your circle, when you get in there, it's like 3 people. All right? Them the motherfuckers you trust. Everybody else, you keep at bay, and yeah, you cool, and that's my man, knew him for 30 years and all of that. But there's a certain level of trust it takes to you to be the motherfucker when I'm getting swung on and hit from the blind side and you can't see everything that's coming. There's only a certain amount of motherfuckers that you need to trust who's going to have your best interests at heart. Everybody else is here and they're cheering for you, but them not the motherfuckers that you trust. But that takes years for you to build up.
And that's the point I want to get to. Like I said, loyalty, trust, all of those are verbs. They are continuous actions over time. So I might have talked about this when I was on one of Hype episodes, but like I seen when people think about relationships, right? And this is like, can I trust this person with my heart? So when people think about relationships, they only think, a lot of times they don't think about the good things in a relationship. You feel me? That's why when I always talk about marriage, the sanctity of marriage and those vows, always hold those as sacred, because it says for sickness and in health. When things are good and when things are bad. So I got to be able to trust you at when life is hitting us at our worst, when things are down bad, because this is the commitment we made to each other, to this union, to this relationship. So if people want to be, we're going to be in a relationship forever, all right, that sound good in theory. It sound good, but what are you willing to go through to make it last forever? You feel me? Because there's going to be suffering in that. You feel me? There's going to be some pain.
It's going to be everything in that. Yeah.
It's going to be everything in that. So knowing that, for me, to see what my dad and his wife went through when he got sick and she had to stand by his side, to see when my grandfather did that with my grandmother when she died, how it broke him mentally. That's why I was so off marriage for a long time, because I never want. In my mind, I'm looking at, look how much power my grandma had over my grandfather. That he became, to me, in my eyes, a different man that I was accustomed to when she was alive. You feel me? He worked himself back, but it was for a while there, I couldn't recognize my grandfather. In my mind, this is one of the greatest men I ever know. You feel me? And I'm like, if love do that, I can't. I don't want that. I
can't sign up for that. Yeah.
I was like that for a long time. You feel me? I was like that I grew out of that.
The thing there though is he is a completely different person after that happened. Once
exactly.
You have something that
I couldn't understand that. I couldn't
Like,
understand that type of love, that deepness.
I know we
Right.
got to wrap up. My dad's janaza. You know how we do, Smooth. We're physically putting you in the ground. And when I come from out of the putting my dad in the ground, my mom is crying. My mom has probably cried 3-4 times in my life. Her oldest sister's funeral, I think grandma and like godmother and my dad. She crying. My man tapped me and said, "Bro, your mom's crying." In that moment, it hits me that she's now your responsibility. So for me, that became I'm a completely different person now because now I have her that I have to be responsible for, even though I'm 22 when my dad died. But in my head now, the click just my brother's older than me, but in my head that means she mine now. You must do whatever it is to take care of her like he would have done. You are a completely different person. That's not even just a relationship though. That's again the love, the loyalty, the years and the scars that you've been through with that person.
Yep.
It will
The
completely
friends,
change you.
friendship, all
Because that
that.
could be, I'm about to say, yeah, that could be a friend, that could be a
Yep.
dog, whatever that situation might be. You become a completely different person on the other side of that.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
no doubt. Well, great show, guys. As always, we definitely broke it down tonight. Make sure you guys go check out those rest of those questions over on
Just
Instagram.
sneezed,
Link
so
is in
lose
the
that
comments.
because-
The clickable link is in
Same.
the comments. So make sure you go check that out. In the meantime, make sure you get at us. All our links are on our website. In the meantime, Sonny, tell the folks where they can find you.
I will, but I think my son about to cough and clear his throat. But it's your girl. I am Sunny _D, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, and TikTok. You can visit me at my blog, unreservedlyme.com. That's why I've been on mute at this time because he over here jumping out of sleep and looking at me. It's weird. I don't know what's happening.
No doubt. Smooth.
Y'all know it's your boy Smooth. You can catch me all the downtime on Twitter at eTrentonGroomy, on IG, Mr.Wilson11_11. Definitely check out my blog, akingstruth.com. I'll let you do it.
For sure. Hank,
I am on Instagram and X. It's X now is where we going with, or are we still calling it Twitter? It's a little confusing.
Oh,
right now.
yeah, you right.
Right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Custom
Now we got
Hustle.
X.
Custom Hustle. We should be having some announcements this week. We just got the hats in. I really didn't like them, so we're not going to say we're really pumping those like that. There'll be a giveaway on the podcast though for a couple of those hats. New merchandise coming this week, and the threes will be out in August at Custom Hustle World on Instagram, Custom Hustle Co on Twitter.
For sure. Dame had to drop off. You can catch him over at Another Level Up on IG and all his other gaming platforms. And it's your boy Willie Styles in the building. Get at me everywhere at Willie Styles on IG and X, and also on Threads as well. Willie.Styles on Snapchat and TikTok. Visit me over at stylesradio.com for all the hot tracks that I'm listening to. The new Nas Magic 2 drop. So I've been bumping that.
Fish.
Yes, indeed. And then there's also the new Travis Scott. I'm trying to get into that a little bit. That he got a new song with Drake and a new song with Beyonce. So I've been, definitely checking those out. And then, WillieStyles.info for all my links. You know where to find me at. All right. So as always, have a great night. All the show listings, they're in there. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to find us and to find out when we're coming on. Until next time, we are out.
Yo, it's your boy Dame here.
Hey guys, it's your girl Sunny D.
Yo, it's your boy Smooth from the GFT Radio Network.
What up, though? It's your boy Willie Styles in the building.
Join us Mondays at 10 p.m. live on Twitch, YouTube, and our Facebook. And if you miss us, don't worry. You can catch it on our website, gftradioshow.com. And if you feel like talking to us every day, join our Facebook group.
At Join the Conversation, the group where you can discuss all kinds of topics.
Catch me also, Fans Perspective, Dope Sports Show. Holla at your boy.
You can cop some merchandise over at our store, teespring.com/stores/GFT Radio. You can get t-shirts, sweatshirts, masks, and even more.
Next time on GFT Radio, what are we talking about? Join the conversation to find out.
Make sure you get at us on GFTRadioshow.com for all of our audio